Hey everyone, Leroy here with another Koppers employee interview of a key employee, and with me today is Tracie McCormick, who's based here in our Pittsburgh headquarters, and that's all I'm going to give you on Tracie right now. I'm going to let her introduce herself to you. But Trace?
Hi everyone, and thank you, Leroy.
You're very welcome.
I'm happy to be here today. I'm Tracie McCormick. I am the treasurer here for Koppers, and here in the treasury group we do the typical treasury functions that you would see in a company. So we are responsible for cash management across the globe, responsible for bank accounts, capital debt transactions, foreign exchange, and also mitigating copper hedging.
So Trace, we just mentioned you've been here 11 years. You didn't start obviously as treasurer. You worked your way up into that role. It's a big role. Did you ever see that as being the job that you would hold one day? And like when you were going to college, did you have this big time dream? I'm going to be a treasurer one day at a big public company? Or
Absolutely not.
No? Okay.
Absolutely not. In fact, growing up, I loved money.
Yeah.
I always loved money. I know. I was a big saver, and my parents really, instilled in us to have good money sense.
Yeah.
And I can remember sixth grade when we were having career days, and I can remember a classmate of mine, his father worked at a bank.
Okay.
And so he worked at Marine Bank at the time, and he managed several banks. And I remember going to the bank for the career day and thinking, I'm going to be a bank manager.
Really?
That's going to be my job.
Okay.
And so when I turned 18, I graduated high school, and I was going to the University of Pittsburgh. I actually became a teller, bank teller, and I was an on-call teller, and that was the best job. And I mean, we're counting money, interacting with customers, and I would work there in between summers and on breaks from college. But I always thought I was going to be at a bank. I always thought that I would do something in financial services. When I decided to just stay here in Pittsburgh and move from Erie and stay in Pittsburgh to go to school, I was still in school. I worked in the back office function at PNC, so I was in the lockbox area as well. But I always thought I would be in a bank.
Well, no offense to the bank managers out there, but I think you got a better job.
I think I have a better job too. I would agree.
All right, Trace, so I have the pleasure of knowing you a little bit, so I know a little bit about your family, but those out there who are watching right now don't, right? So can you tell us a little about your family, how they support you both at home and at work?
Absolutely. So I have two amazing daughters. Savannah is my oldest. She's 16 years old. She's a junior. And then I also have Nevaeh, which we sometimes call Heaven. She is a fifth grader, and she's 10 years old. So both my girls are really active in competitive dance. They both do competitive hip hop. My youngest also does competitive cheer. So we are extremely busy with them and getting them back and forth to practice. And also when competition season starts, we're typically on a road at least 3-4 times a month. Also, loving husband, Ray McCormick, you probably know as well.
Ray, yes, I do.
So Ray's very supportive. He electrical engineer, and he's also my golfing buddy as well.
Yeah, he's gotten you. You go out with him quite often now, don't you?
You know, Leroy, I actually caught the bug right before COVID.
Really?
Right before COVID, was playing at a course near my house, and I got my first par, first legit par. Not a gimme putt, first legit par. And that feeling of having that par was almost a feling of the Steelers winning.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Trey. So that notion of always thinking ahead for planning for the what ifs, I have, I've had an understanding that you've had some impact that has happened here most recently within your larger family, and there's some lessons learned I think you want to share with our viewers and your Copper colleagues about that. So what do you have to tell them?
Yeah, so back in June of this year in the summer, I lost my stepsister unexpectedly. And death is never easy, whether you are expecting it or not expecting it. And it just leaves a terrible void for your loved ones. But if I could just say to my Koppers family out there, just think about, if you are not here, how would your loved ones be taken care of? The people that depend on you, what would happen to them? And how do you want them to be taken care of if you're not around? So 5 things I would say to do. Make sure your will has been updated.
That's very nice.
If you have a living will, make sure that's been updated as well. From a treasurer perspective, I'm always concerned about cash, so make sure your bank accounts have the beneficiaries set up on them appropriately. And if you are unwilling to make a decision on your own, you could even have a power of attorney set up on your accounts as well, so someone can make decisions for you on your bank accounts. From a benefit perspective, I would say please reach out to your business partner in the U.S. Talk to Shirley Tribali. Just make sure your 401k is set up with beneficiaries, your life insurance has a beneficiary, and how, like, if you are the person that that controls the benefits, if every family is on your medical plan, what would happen to them if you don't have if they don't have medical benefits anymore? So I would just encourage everyone to reach out to your business partner just to understand how that all works. And then lastly, what I would say is just make sure you have someone in your life that understands your wishes. It could be a spouse, could be a best friend, just someone that knows, I would say, where the secrets lie about your life and how you want it to be and how you want things to be taken, go on after you have passed on.
Those are the things that I think we don't think about, right? And so the points you're making around sort of being prepared, and you mentioned earlier about updating your will, updating your living will. The reality is many people out there probably don't even have a will in place and a living will. Right. I'll use myself as an example. Up until 3 years ago, I did not have a will or a living will in place, and so because for many people, it's one of those things. Well, if I don't think about it, right? I don't want to think about that. That's morbid. That's this. That's whatever, right? But to your point, it happens to us all. And we can't lose sight of the impact it has on our loved ones who have to pick up the pieces afterwards. Okay, Trace, so, as treasurer of the company, you have a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of, what ifs that come into play in terms of the things that you deal with from time to time. So, can you just tell us about some of those things that you deal with? Absolutely.
So, right now, as you know, we're going through this recession. It's inflation. The markets are in turmoil right now. So, luckily, Jimmy Sue, this year we pulled the trigger on
Jimmy Sue, Miss Cloth Diapers.
Yes.
Sue Smith. Yes.
Yes. Pulled the trigger on doing the refinancing on our credit facility, and it was the best time to get that done. We were able to increase the facility from $600 to $800 million, added liquidity to the company as well. We're just looking at the capital markets to kind of settle down a little bit to do the bond refinancing. But the other thing is I also get an opportunity to work with the plants in finding solutions as well. During COVID, we were trying to conserve cash, and there was conversations between Jimmy Sue and RPS, or RUP's leadership, about how we can improve the working capital when it comes to raw material purchases. But we essentially were able to move the needle on how we pay vendors in the field. And so we talked to the RUPS group, we talked to the buyers, and they were just critical in this whole everything working out. If it wasn't for the buyers, there's no way we could do it. They really were sold on the project, they bought into it. And I know there's a hats off section, but I'd be remiss if I did not mention a couple of the buyers that was really out there selling the product to their vendors. So Stan Jones, Bob Bradley, Jason McDermott, and Michael Embry, they really embraced the product and they were able to sell it.
The lifeblood of any company is cash flow, and so a big part of your job is figuring out how to get us cash to be able to support and grow our business while also helping us to improve our cash flow. So again, we can play it back to shareholders or investing back in the company. So fantastic job, awesome. Thanks. All right, Trace, so here's your chance where you get to ask me a question. So just make it an easy one, please.
Okay. So I often wondered, and you do not have to answer this.
Okay.
But which business unit is your favorite?
Oh, geez, that's awful. That's a terrible question because I do not have a favorite business unit. I love them all equally. And I do mean that and really have a high degree of respect for the people who do what they do every single day in all those business units to make us, look good, to make me look good. And so, so thank you all. I love you all. Okay, so it's a little different. Tracie's like turned the tables on me. And normally I do a speed round with the guest, and she wants to do a speed round back on me. So this may never see the light of day. Here we go.
All right, Leroy.
All right.
Talking or texting?
Talking.
Childhood nickname. It could be friends or family.
Mangus.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Probably neither. But if I had to choose, Star Wars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one, and this is from your family's perspective.
Okay.
Which of the dwarfs are you most like?
Ooh, bashful.
No.
Yes. Yes. At least it's not dopey. I don't think.
Well, I'm grumpy.
Oh, are you
yes.
grumpy?
Yes.
I could be grumpy sometimes, but I don't think my family would call me that.
That's your
Thank
face.
you, Trace. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for this week. That's it for this month. Look, she has me all flustered, but that's it for this month's employee interview. And until I see you next time on the 412, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Tracie, thank you for all you do for us. Thank you for sharing, again, your experience with some tough circumstances, and we hope everybody out there takes it seriously and follows up on the things that you asked them to. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, stay safe, stay strong.